Welcome again to our class. I'd like to talk a little bit about my philosophy on teaching and my philosophy on learning and my philosophy in general on who we are, what we mean to each other, and more or less life, the universe, and everything. I usually ask this with a response coming back from the people sitting in front of me, but the question is, what was the first tenet of Darwin's theory of evolution, origin of species? Question. Pause. Usually someone raises their hand rather timidly and says, survival of the fittest? And yes, that's pretty good, but that wasn't the first thing he pointed out. He saw what was perhaps obvious, but quite honestly, seeing the obvious is not necessarily easy. But he saw and said that there is variation within the species. Each species has its own set of variations. A, that is. B, that is why we are here. That's why there's something besides rocks and water on this planet. Life progresses, changes, evolves, because each individual of a species, those are the critters that can mate with each other and produce viable young, each member of that is a slight variation one from the next. And you go, well, yeah, okay, everyone's different. Yes, but that's why this whole thing works. Because there's a variation of different aspects, qualities, possibilities, abilities within each individual human being, for instance, when the environment changes, which it does and has, usually slowly, hopefully slowly, but some individuals will be more suited to this changed environment than others. They will pass some of those abilities on to their young, who are more likely to survive and do the same thing. This happens with humans and butterflies and slugs and mealy mice and you name it, flowers, everything. Whether there's a grand design for this or not, well, that's your call. But this is the process as I see it. Now, I think that's fabulous because it says that there's value or potential value to each variation. Okay, here's an example. Used to be, there was this thing, obsessive compulsive disorder, wherein people, one of the things that often was cited is that they're washing their hands so often and so long with so much soap and so much water, and this is clearly a disorder. Ha! Along comes COVID, and now it's a survival tactic. It's not just an ability, it's a blessing for those who come in contact with this individual and that person, him or herself. Whereas it was considered pretty irritating. So anyway, we never know what these are going to be. Now, in a little bit more social Darwinist orientation, we're talking more sort of evolution as metaphor. Each one of us is a variation. We see differently. We see the world differently. Could be our literally our eyeballs. Could be our cultural heritage. Could be our language. Could be whether we're like 5'2" or 6'9". It depends on lots of things. But we each of us have a different perspective. Now, when we come to make an art, each of us is going to do it a little bit differently because of that variation. Now, here's the cool thing. You can look over there at Harry, see what he says you don't see. Look over there at Sally, sees what you miss. Oh my gosh, what's she doing here? And we can go over there and, let's say, borrow. Picasso would say steal from what their variation on this perception is and make it ours. Now, I'm not saying copy. I don't think Picasso was either. He's saying, look over there. This person sees something you don't. So did Einstein. So did Galileo. Got him in trouble. But to make it ours, we may have to paint it orange and turn it upside down, maybe cut it in half, maybe make 500 of them and put them in a room. We may have to vary this to make it ours. But we can have a spark of an insight from someone else's work. And that's kind of why we're here, because art has never happened in a vacuum. Braque and Picasso were painting side by side, and I know they were looking at each other's canvases. What did he do? This is part of our process, and it's a little bit different online. We'll see how it works. This is going to be an adventure for all of us, I dare say, and I want you all to participate in sharing, borrowing, stealing. Each one of us has our unique view to offer. I would like us all to respect each other's uniquity, each other's integrity, and each other's possibility of being the genius that we can't quite understand yet. Most new art has been greeted with, huh? Derision, mockery, all kinds of horrible things. And then they go on to be genius. So let's move straight to interesting, at least, if not brilliant, possibly genius. Okay, so give each other that that freedom. Give each other the benefit of the doubt. Give each other an opportunity to be seen. Give yourself the opportunity to say, I like that. Maybe I can use, this little part of it in my work. That's perfectly okay. And let's honor each other's variation. And I will honor yours, and we will all have a marvelous time where we grow together. Thank you. I think I'm going to see if I can get this thing on my page. Okay, so all the best to you. Welcome and thanks. Stop.